teaching and research in commerce discipline. We are the largest department in the University of Delhi and hold the highest number of in-house faculty with 35 members and over 1,500 members across the university.
IB, MBA HRD, MPhil, PhD and MCom. The Department of Commerce started a 1-year full-time post-graduation development. The course has been designed in a manner so that the students gain in-depth knowledge and key learnings which will enable them to efficiently and effectively contribute to the human resource function at the organizations of today.
Ensure that the paths of innovation and sustainability come together to create the business models for a better tomorrow.
We would now like to request Professor R.K. Singh, Head Department of Commerce and Dean Faculty of Commerce and Business, to welcome our Honorable Guest of Honor, Mr. Santosh Sharan, Partner, Positive Momentum.
Planet Forum. Thank you, sir. We will now request Dr. Niti Prasid, Course Coordinator, MBA International Business, to welcome our distinguished alumnus, Mr. Nilay, Chief HR Officer, Indian Shelter Finance Corporation Limited. Faculty of Commerce and Business to address the gathering.
Good morning. सुबह सुबह एनर्जी का लॉस. Good morning. Very good. Momentum. Keynote speaker for this session, Mr. Praveen Sinha, former head HR, Center of Excellence, Escorts, and co-founder of People and Planet Flora. Our distinguished alumnus, Mr. Nilay, who is heading HR of India Shelter Finance Corporation. Professor V.K. Shrotria, Course Coordinator of MBA HRD. Dr. Niti, MBA International Business. Dear students, ladies and gentlemen, on my personal behalf and behalf of the department, extend warm welcome to dignitaries who are on the dais, who have been able to give we have to go for searching the definition of the both, because the present times the dictum is that science finds, industry applies, and man conforms. So if technology is this conformance model needs to be interrogated and questioned. In present times, it is very evangelistic, which is giving supply side choices. Second is the nature and culture. In our whole development or man-made artifact of the culture, nature is taken as subservient. And the model of culture and development is too much Anthropocene. Exploit the way we want to use, the way we want to consume, and still we would be able to remain keeping intact. I think this nature culture are to be seen all together. And I cite an example from our scriptures, the story of Lord Ram. When his wife is kidnapped by Ravan because she made her husband to chase a deer, golden deer, Swan Mrig. Sustainability and innovation, the marvel of the example is given in our scriptures that Ram, in order to trace Sita, is not asking for any external help, not sending the messenger to his own kingdom, Ayodhya, where from the messengers and the spies will come, and the help of the technology would be sought to trace and find out the whereabouts of Sita. No. Whatever is apparently available in the nature, he goes for Sita, he goes for making mention of Mrig. Because this deer, this Mrig is only who has caused the kidnapping of Sita. So getting integrated with whatever the context around, that only is the solution for sustainability. And he needs army to defeat Ravan. The human Ram, the Raja Ram, is again not seeking help from the human beings in the jungle, because human beings are not having their habitat in the jungle. So in phylogenetic classification, Ram goes for seeking help from subhumans. And he seeks help from the bears and monkeys. This is convergence, this is innovation, this is sustainability. That whatever the way it is, integrating it in the part of our living, our thinking, our making. And the subhumans are making Ram to let forests survive and humanity survive and still overpower the demon, the devil, what is there inside. So if we are looking at the sustainability, we are looking at the convergence of the innovation and sustainability, we have to learn how to live with the given.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. We now request Professor V.K. Shruti, our course coordinator, MBA HRD, to introduce the theme Convergence, Sustainability-Driven Innovation for today's discussion.
Who is the co-founder at People and Planet Fora. Our alum, Mr. Nile, who is CHRO. Organizations are there Because people are there. Because it is the people who make the organizations. People issues are organizational issues. And all organizational issues are people issues. And they command people intervention. When we are talking about convergence, sustainability, this whole idea about putting this topic for this 2-day deliberation, one dedicated for IB program and the other one for HR program, it was because convergence is something which is related to all domains of business. And it involves, it forces challenges of time, challenges of space and energy, which involves people intervention at all levels. HR interventions become more important at a time when the most, and to manage people to the satisfaction of all the stakeholders. Converse what? Sustain what? Innovate what? Why? And for whom? Until these questions are addressed, one can or one won't be able to visualize the future. We really don't know how the future is going to look like if we are not addressing these crucial issues. Future, when we are talking about future that demands more resources, more efforts towards responding to more and more expectations. No business model of whatever size and shape, nature and norm would appropriately used if we do not focus on people. When we are talking about future, you know the futurologist Alvin Toffler, who was talking about future in the 21st century and was talking that this is the age which is going to be the time of temporary workers, which was furthered by the contribution of Drucker, who got the best paper award, which was published in HBR, and product. We need to look beyond the paraphernalia that is surrounded with pure capitalist thinking and with an approach of exploiting resources. We need to introspect. We need to introspect for the causes of, these are our personal opinions. And we cannot really talk on particular stuff. Yes, that's how it is. And we need to maintain that kind of corporate integrity and individual integrity. So we need to look at what is it that is causing all these disturbances? What is it that is causing corporate failures? It is much beyond just product or when we look at the performance. You know, I might have told this to some of my students sometime, that the biggest problem of corporate failure or corporate debacle is the greed. We say God made man, man made money, and money made the man mad. And if we keep on focusing on profit, I don't think that any business model can sustain that for all times to come. So we need to look beyond, as some of the corporate houses are doing. We cannot find that kind of environment that is idealized by business academicians or practitioners, which only focuses on profit. Capitalist thinking that binds greed with purpose has to go away. We need to search and find meaning to business, meaning of business, meaning of organizational existence, meaning of life for all people and all stakeholders. We are in unfreezed state, exploring possibilities of movements. We need to be cautious. Second panel shall discuss and deliberate on issues surrounding flatness. Flatness for HR. Do we really need to break and build and rebuild hierarchies? I get reminded of the moment we talk about flatness, we get to know the contribution of Thomas Friedman, who wrote The World is Flat. And then came Pankaj Ghemawat, who questioned it. That flatness is about whole structure of business. Here, today's concentration is going to be on flatness in HR domain. So I caution you, look around and see whether we can live without hierarchies. The last session shall be on the issues concerning the basic, very basic premise of management, an art of getting things done. I caution you, there is no capsule, no model, no theory that can fully give you formula. You need to design, develop, and deliver according to the best appropriate way as the time demands. What you think the best. So the young friends, the purpose of this whole exercise is to enable you to think appropriately for all times. I wish you have great time today and have some meaningful engagement with all the panelists. Thanks once again for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I hope you will have a nice time the whole day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. We would now like to welcome on stage our distinguished alumnus, Mr. Nile. Mr. Nile is an alumnus of the HRD program of the Department of Commerce, is a seasoned HR leader with 20 years of rich experience. He has worked with CEOs and CXOs and led change and transformation projects at organizations he has worked with. He is passionate about delivering results and making HR a game changer, and has played a pivotal role in building the character of the companies he has worked for. His expertise lies in building organizational capability to deliver results in the face of changing business landscape, significantly raising the bar on leadership and talent. He has effectively managed size, scale, and complexity and balanced priorities between results, cost, and motivation. His experience is diverse across varied sectors and phases of organization life cycle. Mr. Nile presently works as a Chief HR Officer at India Shelter Finance Corporation Limited. We would request Sir to share a few words of wisdom with us.
Good morning. I'm privileged and honored to be here. Makes me feel nostalgic. I still remember convention, as we used to call it nowadays, and those memories are still very, very vivid with me as of now. I would want to reduce, and I can say, looking at you, that things haven't changed, very much. I see the first few rows here which are vacant. I want to reduce the distance between you and me, and I'm one of you. So I will request you to please come forward and occupy the front benches. So please step forward. Please take the front benches. I know that there's enough more space in the room, but please come forward and take the front benches. It doesn't look nice to have the front benches vacant. Much sense to me. Gradually, it kind of dawned onto me, and thank you, Professor Singh and Professor Sharotia, for explaining, the context a little better. What I will try and do for you today is to share, some of my learnings, my personal learnings in the context of driving convergence and driving sustainable innovation in organizations and in communities. And I'll try and share some real life experiences and examples of situations that I've seen, observed, or faced myself, which I think are very relevant to the subject. So, I will share with you some principles, I'll share with you some learnings, in this area of convergence, sustainability-driven innovation. And, I think it's a very, very broad topic, it's a very powerful, it's a very, very impactful topic. And, today, everywhere in the world, there is so much of conversation, there's so much of discussion, which is happening about, climate change, about pollution, about livelihood, about technology, about humanity, about education. And, these are areas, these are subjects, which impact all of our daily lives, no matter where you're working, no matter which field and which discipline, you are associated with. So I will share with you from a corporate perspective, from an organizational perspective, what have been some of my learnings in this area, and specifically, to drive, the biggest challenge is really the transformation. The transformation agenda before organizations, before communities, and before governments to drive sustainability-driven innovation in today's world. So what are some of those challenges of transformation, and what are the opportunities that it presents before us? So I will say my first learning is to have a vision of the future. If we have to drive as a community of people, as industry, if you have to drive a sustainable future, a future which is innovative, a future which is sustainable for all of us, which makes humanity better, which makes life more meaningful for all of us, then I do think that we need to have a vision of the future. And it applies to really any walk of life, because the vision is the starting point. Or otherwise we may well be faced, with a tsunami that we're not even prepared for. And let me here talk to you about the education industry. Education is a big industry. All of you and me, both of us, are recipients of the education industry. And it's so important today to embrace the change and be prepared, for the future. So, I will say that, technology is impacting our daily lives in more ways than we can think. Anyone in this room here who does not have a smartphone, anyone, you can raise your hand. So perhaps all of you, have a smartphone. Anyone who hasn't seen, a WhatsApp message or a mail since morning. Yeah, it's humongous. It's the amount of time that we spend on technology and technology-related gadgets is absolutely humongous, in today's lives. So, coming to education, I see technology playing having a big play in education. I think that even today we haven't really, though the future is near and it's not that far, we can see where we are headed. Yet, I think our education industry hasn't really transformed. Yeah, of course, and when I'm talking about sustainability of education, it really means education for all. It means a different mode of education than what we are recipients of today. So, in that context, I would say that if you really think about the future, all of you have to go through examinations. I don't know how many semesters you have now and how many papers you have, but you still write, exams. And exams, most exams, be it in a business school or be it in graduation or even in your school years, most examinations are really focused on knowledge. I think that needs to change. That needs to change from knowledge to application. knowledge to thought leadership. That day is not very far, when you would be wearing lenses and you would be connected to the internet. So all the knowledge, everything that you read about, you're actually connected to the internet. So you have information on any aspect of, or any knowledge detail of any subject. So examinations perhaps should not be knowledge based. Examinations should be more application based. It should be provoking your thought. And that's what, to me, is the future. If you really want to drive innovation, if you really want to drive sustainability-driven innovation, then I think the future, there is wisdom in embracing the future, and all of us together must have a vision of the future. The second learning that I want to say, or I want to talk about, is viewing compliance as a big opportunity. I'm not so sure if you understand what compliance is, but compliance is really big today and in many, many sectors. Okay, compliance is very big in the automobile industry, it's very big in banking. I used to work with Standard Chartered earlier, and I can tell you that compliance, banks are playing more about compliance than about banking, because there are banking norms which are governed by compliance regulations in every market. And every market has regulations which are raising the bar for banking. The same is true for the automobile industry, for the automobile sector. And I really want to focus just now on the automobile sector, because there's a lot happening in that sector. And when we're talking about environment, vehicular pollution is one of those big elements of pollution. Okay, and the point that I'm making is, how do companies view compliance as an opportunity and not as a roadblock to driving business results? And if you really see, there's been so much of talk about saving the planet, fight about the planet, and there's been fight between governments, between organizations, and between consumer activists. And you would see, and you would probably know that the government today, the government of India is wanting to drive electric cars into India. And I think the government had a vision that by 2030, all vehicles, all private vehicles would be electric vehicles only. Okay, because of course it's less polluting, it uses better technology, it may not be cost effective initially, but in the long run it is more sustainable. However, if you looked at any automobile organization in India, whether it's like a Maruti or a Hyundai or whichever other company, they all came back strongly, saying that this is something that we cannot comply with. And 15 years or 12 years is too less a time frame for complying to these norms of the government, because we have some standards, we have assembly lines, we are heavily invested in our manufacturing facilities, and so on and so forth. But if you really think about it, it's really a win-win. And today, when there is a slowdown, even the government has taken 2 steps back and saying, we will give the automobile industry more time for complying to these norms. But the point I'm making is that it's really a win-win for the industry, it's a win-win for the government, and it's a win-win for humanity. Electric cars is what I'm talking about. And so like I can tell you, I'm not from the automobile industry, but in banking I can tell you that whatever regulations that we have today in banking are actually in the best interest of the consumer and the best interest of the bank. I can tell you that, when I used to work with Standard Chartered, sometimes I was surprised that an ATM machine in India, there are lots of ATM machines and lots of ATM machines which are down. The downtime in Singapore cannot be more than 1 minute. If the downtime is more than 1 minute, the bank has to report to the Monetary Authority of Singapore about the downtime of an ATM machine. Because the whole economy revolves around the flow of money. Likewise, what I'm coming back, so compliance is in the best interest of organizations, of governments, and our communities. Of course, most organizations don't see it in that light, when they first look at it. But I think that maturity dawns upon organizations and people at large over time. And I'm saying that it's really important to view compliance as a huge opportunity. The third point that I want to make is, companies and people should stay wedded to a goal while adjusting tactics. If you have to drive sustainability-driven innovation. I used to be working for a company called Hindustan Unilever earlier, and I want to tell you that about one innovation in that organization, and that's a huge. A lady came out. She came out with a piece of soap which looked like it was very, very dry. It didn't have the flavor. It didn't have the fragrance. It may have been used maybe a couple of months ago. So he asked, when did you use it last? And she said that I don't use it often. I use it only for big occasions like a marriage, etc., etc. And that's when a new thought, dawned on the chairman. He said that why can we not have a soap which is fragrant all the time, which is fresh, it gives you the freshness that you look for, irrespective of the time frame in which you use it. And that's how liquid soap got invented. So liquid detergents, liquid soap, and you'll see that it gets sold in sachets today because it's easily affordable. Yeah. So the point that I'm making is that organizations need to be wedded to a goal while adjusting tactics to lead sustainability-driven innovation. There's one other point that I want to make. I would want to go to my next learning, which is about developing a new business model for everyone. And I want to give you a very small example, and this is a very non-tech kind of example. But I used to live in Hong Kong a few years ago, and Hong Kong is known for its tailoring industry, and I had a tailor. This tailor had a shop, on the main road, and Hong Kong has thousands of Indian tailors, I must tell you, and in 24 hours it gets delivered on your doorstep. It's really like that, and it's fantastic. It's cheap, it's high quality, and very, very efficient. And so I said, okay, how come you get 70% revenues from overseas? So he says, I travel the world. I go to the US, I travel to Germany, I travel to Australia. If you're buying a ready-made suit in many of these markets, it's extremely expensive. And if you want to get it tailored, it's even more expensive. However, so what he did was he used to travel to several locations around the world. He used to take measurements of people, order for a suit in Hong Kong, and then courier these suits into whichever market where the order came from. And so that's how he made tailoring a global business. So what I'm saying is that it's always possible to build a new business model. And sometimes, a sustainable business model, because maybe tailoring in the US is much more expensive, labor costs are significantly higher, and so on and so forth. But, there is always an opportunity. There's always an opportunity to develop a new business model. The last learning that I want to share with you is designing sustainable products and services. I think that again is the key for organizations. And I would like to talk to you. You look at any industry again. If you look at the healthcare sector, for example, some of our healthcare services are extremely expensive today. Should they really be so expensive? Can the cost really come down? So whether you're buying, if you're going for an open heart surgery today, it costs you anything between 4 to 5 lakhs. Can it come down to 1.5 lakhs? If organizations really think about or serving customers, serving clients profitably, and yet profiting from the volume of business, I think there is a lot to gain from there. So I would give you an example of another company. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but it's a Swedish furniture making company called IKEA. Yeah, and there's so much of waste. There's so much of talk about plastics and how it's polluting. All of us. If I think about my life of the last 40-45 years, I don't know how many plastic bottles I've used. And there are billions of bottles of plastic, which go into waste, which are landfills, or which pollute the ocean, and so on and so forth. But if you look at IKEA reuses these bottles for redesigning furniture. And if you really look at the vision of IKEA. IKEA says very clearly that we want to create a bouquet of well-designed furniture, offer a bouquet of different offerings at a very, very affordable price to the customer. So they use they recycle used bottles. They use sawdust for most of their wooden furniture. So it's very, very affordable. It's low cost, and yet IKEA is an extremely successful business. The other thing from a convergence point of view that I want to talk to you about, and which is a key learning for me, is building collaborative capacity between different technologies, between different industries, between should I say industry and academia. Look, I think that's really, really important to drive convergence between sustainability and innovation. Let me give you an example. A couple of years ago, and I think technology again has hit us hard, but look at how technology and social media are coming together and creating innovative solutions for all of us today. A couple of years ago, I was traveling on a Lufthansa flight from Frankfurt to Delhi, and I went in for my check-in. I went in for an online check-in, and when I went in for the online check-in, it showed a picture of myself. So, is that you? I said yes. Then the next frame was where they said, okay, hey Nilay, do you know that there are so many of your Facebook friends who are on this flight with you? There's so many of your LinkedIn friends who are on this flight with you. There are so many of your friends from Twitter who are with you on this flight. Would you want a seat close to them, or would you want a seat far from them? Okay, so that's really the world of convergence today. How you are connecting social media and technology together to get optimal solutions for a customer. So that's all I wanted to say. So I wanted to say that the challenges that the industry is facing, I think the biggest challenge really is the transformation. And change is always difficult. But I think the transformation required today, to move to a sustainable driven innovation model, I think it's really about having a vision of the future, viewing compliance as an opportunity, building collaborative capacity, and designing sustainable products and services. So, best of luck to all of you. You are the future. I think when you step out into the real world, which is not that far away, I think you should be driving sustainability, you should be driving innovation, and you should not be driving just HR and marketing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your thought provocation in varied industries like retail, healthcare, financial services, chemical and engineering. In the initial phase of his career, he worked on change management in a rural-centered healthcare organization. He has gained experience in synthesis of knowledge and information flowing from international organizations and combining with social issues and priorities in India to come up with effective solutions. Throughout his career, he has worked and interacted with different nationals and professionals from US, Europe, APAC, including big countries which help in understanding elements of diversity, which has gained so much significance in today's workplace. He has had teaching assignments in B schools in India and overseas, has been a part of selection panel of 6 new IIMs in India, and has mentored with premier B schools. He has also worked as Head HR Center of Excellence at Scotch Limited and is the co-founder of People and Planet Forum. We would now request Sir to enlighten us with the perspective on the said theme.
Thank you. I will straight go to the subject because I think we have a time limit. So thank everyone who is on the dais, off the dais, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Today's topic, convergence, sustainability-driven innovation, will remain relevant forever till we walk on this earth. Sustainability and innovation are the two most important subjects in today's context. They focus on human-centered approach, and that is all about convergence, keeping human being at the center stage. That is what Professor R.K. Singh, Dean, also stressed. I was making a note. I have picked up 3 sustainable development goals which create social value, and these goals are coming from, if you have heard, and I'm sure you have heard about, 17 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. I have just picked up 3 for this session just to make things simple and so that I can communicate well. Social value creation is the fundamental thing which I will be talking about, and I feel and I have seen that social value is the place or is the subject from where we can draw huge amount of innovation agenda. Let me assure you that it's a big place to explore. Normally, in a platform like this, we talk about the success story. But for a change, let me tell you a story. It's a real life story of organizational failure and personal failure of the person who is talking right now. It's Praveen. It's a personal failure and the organizational failure both. Let me narrate you a story. Performance and looked at the events in my family life, perhaps today's conversation would have been very different. I would not have come to you for discussing this. After finishing his tea, he left my office with the following exit note. Try to see an employee holistically and not in parts. As Professor R.K. Singh said, that integrate with your surroundings. He emphasized, integrate with your surroundings. Go beyond the boundary and please do something. Go beyond the boundary, Praveen, and do something. The concluding lines of Hiralal reflect the following for me. Before we talk about convergence, our conversation and narratives have to change. And for that, we have to keep human being at the center stage. All innovations must serve humanity, must create social value. Further, also from long-term perspective, innovation should be concerned with the interests and rights of people of today as well of the future generation. You are all future generations. If we bugger up in front of you, you don't have to go places, pillar to post to look for it. Talk to people, integrate with your surrounding, and the solutions you will be able to find. You have a huge list of agenda. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. It was indeed enriching. We would now like to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Santosh Sharan, an alumnus of the Xavier's Institute of Social Service. Mr. Santosh Sharan is a highly acclaimed HR professional, thought leader, strategic HR consultant and advisor, transformation and change specialist, transition and leadership coach, and a recipient of 100 Top HR Minds in India award. He turned entrepreneur after having completed 27 years of an eventful stint in corporate with setting up his own HR startup, GenNext HR Consulting, which is into strategic HR and leadership development consultancy and advisory services focused on startups and MSMEs. He is also partner India at Positive Momentum Limited, a UK-based global business consulting group formed by long-serving ex-CEOs and CXOs to provide business consulting to organizations and people globally to help them change to growth. In his past, he has contributed to the HR function at organizations such as Tata Steel, Jindal Steel and Power Limited, Escorts Limited, LG Life Sciences and SC Johnson's. We now invite Sir to enlighten the gathering with his experiences and outlook.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to everyone's present. Convergence, sustainability, and innovation. There cannot be a more relevant theme than the one you have chosen for your convention. Convergence, sustainability-driven innovation in the current context. This is what I believe. Your stage is well set for today's whole day deliberation on this, and I will be presenting the practitioner's point of view after having spent 28 years in HR function, having led some change and transformation projects in different companies. What you will hear from me will be a practitioner's perspective. So sustainability-driven innovation is possible only by challenging common assumptions, which we hardly do, which we are not comfortable doing, and acting upon complex sustainability challenges. There are several sustainability challenges which we are facing in our society, community, our country, economy, environment, and world at large. From global warming to water conservation, from air pollution to deforestation, from climate sensitivity to socio-economic challenges, our plate is full. And at this juncture, I am getting reminded of one famous quote from Mahatma Gandhi, as we have recently celebrated his 158th birth anniversary, everyone's greed. And that is where is the challenge, and that is where is the concept of sustainability comes. So sustainability driven innovation aims at making our life relevant in today's context. Overall goal of sustainability is avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. And from there, in today's parlance, the concept of sustainability leadership has become popular. It is a kind of leadership which is mindful of these challenges while taking decisions about people, decisions about business, decisions about commerce, decisions about profitability, and while innovating products and services for the use of beneficiaries. If if sustainability is not, it's not only about vision and mission and goals of the organization. It is purpose. For what purpose organization has been formed? If the purpose is only profitability, the organization is not relevant today. How is the
Conference.
responsible
तो रात को भी
organization
मैं लेट
today?
पहुंचा था। मैं आपको ना शाम को कर देता हूँ।
We judge
लेट
organizations today
पहुंचा हूँ,
on
2 दिन
culture.
पहले गए ये सीपी के अंदर
Culture
कॉन्फ्रेंस चल रही है। ये
sensitivity
सीपी के अंदर
towards
कॉन्फ्रेंस
all
हो रही
the
है 2 दिन से मेरे पास
stakeholders.
कुछ काम है जरा रात को लेट जा रहा हूँ तो मैं आपको रात को करूँगा तो कल
Also,
सुबह
your customers,
मैं ऑडिटोरियम में
shareholders,
कॉन्फ्रेंस चल रही है
your
तो शाम
society.
को मैं बताता हूँ आपको हाँ बिल्कुल बताता हूँ आपको ठीक
how is the organization contributing
ठीक है,
towards
बताओ।
socio-economic challenges? How are they gearing? Which is focused on this, and they have embedded these philosophies into their innovation process. Those organizations are going to be relevant in seeing the change. So what are the key drivers for change leading to innovation? All my previous speakers have talked about sustainability, have talked about convergence. I'm going to focus more on mindset and culture. In my opinion, the 3 key drivers for change leading to innovation are first mindset, which is very important. Then culture and technology. There are many other drivers also, like a structure, process, systems. And I hope you all have deliberated on that yesterday. So today I will be focused more on mindset and culture. The mindset of challenging, the mindset of questioning, the mindset of not accepting status quo, and the culture of embracing change. In the trigger change, many organizations miss this time and they misjudge. And also, whether to embrace change by choice or by compulsion. This is a change growth matrix. So there are thriving organizations, there are surviving organizations, there are organizations in expiring zone. 1994, after a lot of research, and he predicted few companies globally that these are the companies which are built to last for long. And 15 years down the line, Jim Collins wrote another book, The Freedom to Ask Questions. There is a freedom to criticize. They take risks. Their risk appetite is high. They take quick decisions. And this is also a misnomer that small organizations are more agile organizations and big organizations are slow organizations. In today's context, if you see Amazon, $15 billion year-on-year revenue increase, and still they take decisions so fast. They are still nimble, they are still agile. There are organizations which are now into surviving category. Here, there is a huge resistance. They are passing through this syndrome. Similarly, in the expiring zone, you will find very high resistance to change, almost no growth or degrowth. And with 2-3 cycles of degrowth, these organizations will become bankrupt. And then the reviving organizations. This is the organization which realizes that there is need for change. So everything starts from accepting the reality. And then they focus on the factors which are in their control and not on factors which are not in their control and which are common for all. And they start their transformational journey. So the last two slides, which is my learning of last 28 years, I will quickly run through. In driving sustainability-driven innovation, I see the top leadership role and the HR leadership role are very important. So what are the top leadership role? The first is walk the talk. You are the flag bearer of change. Invite well-meaning criticism and questions from all stakeholders. Encourage questioning within the organization. Make sustainability goals embedded in innovation process. Only then convergence will come. Communicate clearly need for change and manage resistance. The top leadership has to have this courage. Continuously challenge people for orbit shifting innovation. Orbit shifting, you all know, you need highest velocity when you move from one orbit to another orbit. Orbit shifting will not happen with incremental mindset. You have to think something new. Build learning and execution agility at all levels. This is very much required. Thriving organizations are abandoning decisions, abandoning work which is not working for them quickly. Now, what is HR leadership's role? The HR is thought partner to business. They have to behave in that fashion. They are the sounding board for the management, for the top leadership, and they can help them in choosing the right time to trigger change in the organization because they have the pulse of people. They are the custodian of culture and mindset. To me, rest all other things are common to every organization. Every organization is having systems, process, business model for innovation. What is differentiating between success and failure is the right mindset and the culture. Design the organization to unleash innovation. Nilay deliberated on that. So the design of the organization should be such which should not restrict, constrict or suppress innovation. Rather than it should encourage innovation. HR has to be change evangelist and a catalyst in change. You have to trigger change. Enable people to challenge their own limits and beliefs. Without that, that mindset will not come for innovation. And empower people to experiment. There should not be any fear for failure. Only then innovation will happen. Now I am summarizing the points which I told. Sustainability driven innovation aims at making our life relevant in today's context. Sustainability driven innovation is not possible without the mindset of challenging self-beliefs and self-limits and culture of embracing change. HR professionals are custodians of mindset and culture which is required for sustainability driven innovation. Everything starts from self. So challenging self-limit, self-belief is critical for any kind of innovation. Even our car also starts from self, isn't it? So we all have to introspect and challenge our own self-belief to be innovative in life. What I have said today for organization, you can extend this concept to individual also very well. all those parameters are applicable to you and me, to any team, to any organization, or even to any country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your motivational words.
बट अबे भाई और तो क्या
To felicitate our guest of honor, Mr. Santosh Sharan.
Keynote speaker, Mr. Praveen Sinha.
Felicitate our distinguished alumnus, Mr. Nile.
थैंक यू
Thank you, ma'am. We will now request Dr. Niti Bhasin, Course Coordinator, MBA, to propose a vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. We all have a vote of thanks, and I'm pleased to get that opportunity today. And I hope that through this vote of thanks, I'm able to give that little present to all those who have made Erudition successful. The focus of Erudition 2019, as we all know, and we have been hearing it out since yesterday, is convergence, sustainability-driven innovation. Which, as already pointed out by our esteemed panelists, is one of the most topical and impactful and urgent and powerful area that all of us need to talk about. And therefore, we are looking at devising strategies for sustainability-driven innovations. Yesterday, we had a couple of panel discussions which talked about it, and today, of course, we are looking forward to more on it from the HR perspective. The opening session of Erudition has been a very fruitful endeavor with very insightful talks by our esteemed panelists here today. I, on behalf of the Department of Commerce, express our very sincere thanks to all our distinguished guests for having accepted our invitation to address all our students here and for sparing their valuable time and expertise and knowledge with all of us. We thank our guest of honor, Mr. Santosh Sharan, for having accepted our invitation and for sharing a practitioner's perspective on sustainability-driven innovation. So it was indeed insightful to know about the key drivers of change and when to trigger the right kind of change. It was interesting to know the role of HR manager in this respect. Our heartfelt gratitude to our keynote speaker, Mr. Praveen Sinha, who very wonderfully pointed out through his heart-rending story that convergence and sustainability-driven innovations, we don't always need to see from a macro perspective and technology, but we need to place human beings in the center of it all. So that was a very wonderful insight which we got through his keynote speech today. The department is heartening to know that compliance is now seen as an opportunity by many companies, and thereby, as he very rightly pointed out, it makes it a win-win situation for all the stakeholders in this entire thing about sustainability that we confront today. So I hope all our guests would give us more opportunities in future to host them at our campus. I'm very thankful indeed to the head of our department, Professor R.K. Singh, for being an immense pillar of support. Would remain a distant dream if we put nature as subservient to all of us, and that it's so very important to integrate our surroundings in the way of living. So I found the mythological connect particularly interesting there. Our special thanks to Professor V.K. Shrotria, who has been a mentor, a guide, a support through all of this, has been providing very useful, very timely inputs to the students in conducting and organizing this event. Special thanks to all the young faculty members, as we call them, for their tremendous support in organizing this event, especially Sarita, who's not here today, but Swati, who's very much here. They have helped us out with every detail of the event, and they have been very prompt in providing us the perfect logistic support in all of this. I also wish to express my gratitude to all my colleagues and all faculty members who have spared their time and encouraged us with their presence here today. We are very fortunate to be backed by a team of very motivated and sincere and dedicated students as well. So thanks also to the student convention team, the conveners from IB and HR, Tushar and Rahul, and who have also been supported by a very dedicated convention team behind all of them. They deserve a round of applause, I guess. They have been put up at times, but they have delivered very beautifully and sincerely. Thanks to everyone, to all the audience here. Thanks for being such a wonderful audience. And we look forward to the deliberations of the day and to the continued support of all of you in the future. Thank you very much.
We would also like to thank our career growth partner, HBR Ascent, our photography partner, DCOP, our media partners, DU Updates, The Education Tree, DUB, Noah Fest, DU Cover, Career Anna, O Campus, Campus Bloggers, Campus Media, and DU Vibes.
Our knowledge partners, Engineer Spaces, MBA Rendabu, Pagaguy.com. Our magazine partners, Business Manager, Career Beacon, Human Capital. And our social responsibility partner, Robin Alarm. Thank all our esteemed dignitaries for being with us today. It has been a pleasure. We are honored by your august presence. I would now request my colleagues to please escort the guests and proceed for refreshments.